Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's July 16, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Select Board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the town's website. This is also at the beginning as a joint meeting with the Great Barrington Housing Authority. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting in person, or for those who wish to do so remotely. For those who are not in person, every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body and may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the Berkshire Edge, Berkshire Eagle, the town of Great Barrington, and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by law. So we'll start with the joint meeting of the Select Board and Housing Authority. So while the Housing Authority is getting promoted, all 5 members of the Select Board are in person, so we don't need to do a roll call vote. Have we found?
So I promoted the 2 members that I recognize, but if there are any other members from the Housing Authority on the line, just raise your hand.
So anybody from the Housing Authority who's in the attendees pool, please raise your hand and we'll promote you. Promote me. We have questions. Yep. So at this point, I only see 2 members of the Housing Authority. I see Phil and I see Eileen.
You should have John Grogan out there somewhere.
Tom is ill.
No, I meant John Grogan.
No,
Don, if you're out there, could you just raise your hand? Because there's someone with a lot of letters, but I don't know if that's you. And I'm not here to promote that person until I know. We do need a quorum with the Housing Authority, because even though
yeah,
are you there, Eileen?
I'm here.
There you go. I think Phil's trying to call John.
I started to say Tom Lovell is ill, so I don't know. Okay.
Phil, did you get a hold of John? Is that who you were trying to call? Okay, good.
No luck. So I guess we need to reschedule.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We have a meeting ahead of us, so we'll reschedule. Phil and Eileen, thank you for joining us. Sorry that this didn't work out.
Yeah,
Oh, well, better luck with the next next part of the meeting. Okay.
Couldn't be any worse, could, oh, yes, it could, okay.
hi.
Thank you, Eileen.
So are we not acting on this tonight?
No, because it's got to be a quorum. of
Let
both
Nikki know
boards.
because she's out there.
Yes,
Okay.
so. Vicky, we're not going to act on this tonight because we didn't have a quorum for the housing authority. Nor did we didn't know we weren't gonna have a quorum either. Okay, I'm gonna call the regular select board meeting to order. So approval of minutes for November 21st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 21st, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 It is unanimous. Select board's announcements, statements, Garfield,
Nothing, thank you.
Eric,
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to the Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce and everybody involved with the winter walk. It was, town was bustling and I personally think the fireworks, siren parade and everything was awesome. And it was a great event to be, just be hanging out in downtown with shoulder to shoulder on the streets. And got me in a very festive mood, so it was exciting.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting. I did review the recording. There's one thing I want to either ask or clarify on the short-term rental. Somebody had asked about the 3% community impact fee. That is not collected by the third-party sites, correct? It's the responsibility of the. It seemed.
I'll get clarification on that. I know
Okay.
it is collected through DOR. I'm just not sure if it's collected through the old fashioned way of collecting it directly from the host or whether it's through the host.
Okay, and people will be. I mean, it's already in effect, right?
It is
So, okay,
retroactive to
Right.
town meeting, so I'll get some clarification.
okay,
anything else? Ed?
nothing else.
Please.
To echo Eric's sentiments, thanks to everyone involved with the holiday stroll. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was terrific. Town managers report.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I have just a few very brief announcements tonight. Housatonic Waterworks, I don't have anything new to report, so I'm just gonna reread my update from a few weeks ago in case anyone missed it. We received 2 proposals for the appraisal of the Housatonic Waterworks system. That project is now underway. That's the only change I have since the last time I shared this. And we're expecting a final report from our consultants in mid to late February. And we have penciled in right now on our February 27th agenda, a public presentation of that report. Moving on to my list of priority planning. We generally, as you know, revisit our priority planning list every 6 months, and we're due for that conversation in January. So I wanted to suggest a standalone meeting on January 30th, if that works for the board.
Does that work for everybody?
January 30th.
Yes.
Works for you, Garfield?
Yeah, I can make that work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all set. January 30th, strategic planning and goal setting meeting.
We get an agenda drafted, and I'll notify staff. And then my last update for this evening is related to the housing rehab funds. You can expect to see a public hearing on our January 9th meeting agenda to discuss an application to the DHCD for block grant funds. And this is for housing rehab projects in town for low and moderate income residents. So this is a similar program to programs we participated in the past to just help those homeowners fund improvements, particularly safety improvements to their homes. So we'll talk more about that at the next meeting. That's all I have.
Okay. Licenses and permits, the exciting part of any December meeting. Do I have a motion?
Ooh, I have a motion to approve
Yes,
the following license renewals. I'm gonna go in order and start with the common victualler.
subject to payment
Subject to return of the renewal paperwork
and payment.
and payment. Okay, starting out with the common victual license. Shri 3 LLC. A&B Package and Variety. Aegean Breeze, Agave's Mexican Grill, Aroma Bar and Grill, Baba Louie's, Barrington Brewery, Berkshire Food Co-op, Big Y World Class Market number 22, Bistro Box, Bazillions, Izen, Bogey's Restaurant, Cafe Adam, Cove Bowling, Chrissy Farm, Cumberland Farms 6668, Dunkin' Donuts, East Asian Restaurant, Elm Railroad Street, Extra Specialties on Elm Street, Extra Specialties on Pleasant Street, Fairfield Inn, Fairfield Hospital, Farm Country Soup, Fiddleheads.
Fairview.
Oh, what did I
You
say?
said Fairfield.
Sorry. Fairview, thank you. Fairview Hospital, Farm Country Soup, Fiddleheads Grill, Fiesta Bar and Grill, Flying Church Coffee, Four Brothers Pizza, Fuel, GB Eats, Gorm and Norton, Granville House, Great Barrington Bagel Company, Great Barrington Pizza House, Great Barrington Sunoco, Great Wall, Guido's, Fresh Marketplace, IE Inc. on State Road, 380 State Road, IE Inc. on 380 State Road, VFW Post, 8348, Koi Chinese Restaurant, Lipton Mark number 606, Manhattan Pizza, Marjoram Rouge, Marketplace Kitchen Table, Marketplace Specialty Food Shop, McDonald's 2809, Miller's Pub, Mama Lowe's, Mooncloud, Najee's number 10, Patisserie Lennox, Pleasant and Maine, Prairie Well, Price Chopper 155, Rio Cafe, Rubener's Cafe, Shiro, Siam Square, Thai Cuisine, Soko Creamery, South Main Extra Mart, Steam Noodle Cafe, Stylen Franks, Swedish Baker, Taft's Farms, Taqueria Azteca, Thornwood Inn, Triplex Cinema, Two Flower Cafe, Vivaldi's, Pizzeria, The Well, Wyandotte Country Club, and Zico Mexican Restaurant.
Second.
So out of an abundance of caution, Fairview Hospital is in there, or Fairfield Hospital.
Fairview
We have to
Hospital.
Change our name. So
Fairfield.
please just take this one over and I will accuse myself on this one.
Okay, so Fairview Hospital.
So you have a motion in a second. You just
Okay.
have to say all in favor.
Oh, all in favor.
All right.
Any nays? Okay. That's unanimous except for Steve.
And the next one.
Okay. Let me do all my work. Okay.
Yes.
Licenses for weekday entertainment, subject to return of paperwork and payment. Bard College at Simon's Rock, Berkshire Food Co-op, Berkshire South Community Center, Bogey's Restaurant, Chrissy Farm, Fiesta Bar and Grill, Guthrie Center, VFW, Nahawi, number 10, St. James Place, Thornwood Inn, Triplex Cinema, Unitarian, Universally Church, Wyandotte, and Chico Mexican Restaurant.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Unanimous.
Moving on to Sunday entertainment, subject to return of paperwork and payment. Bard College at Simon's Rock, Berkshire South, Bogey's Restaurant, Fiesta Bar and Grill, Guthrie Center, VFW 8348, Nahawi, St. James Place, Thornwood Inn, Triplex Cinema, Briar Cliff, East Rock Inn, Fairfield Inn and Suites, Granville House, Holiday Inn Express, Monument Mountain Motel, Quality Inn, the Barrington, the Lantern House Motel, Thornwood Inn, Travel Lodge, Wayne White Inn, Wind in the Pines, and Windflower.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Entertainment device, subject to return of paperwork and payment, Bogey's Restaurant.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Unanimous.
Motion picture, Subject to payment and return of paperwork. Mahawi Performing Arts Center, Triplex Cinema.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Bowling, subject to return of paperwork and payment. Cove Bowling.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Okay.
I took that for granted.
Class 2 auto, subject to return of paperwork and payment. Oh. 7 and 20 through motor sales, DA Dempsey Auto Sales, Decker's Auto Body, Hormel Auto Salvage, JD Automotive, Johnny's Garage, John's Auto Body, Larkin Enterprises, TireKicks.com LLC, Decker's Auto Body, Hormel Auto Salvage, and John's Auto Body.
Second, some of those are class two,
Yeah.
some are- but
They
okay.
see,
Michelle,
oh, sorry about that. I see that.
Michelle, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yes, can you hear me?
You can.
Okay, thank you. Michelle LeBear, 70 Division Street. In the past, in this listing, it was indicated if a change had been made by either an asterisk or whatever, and I know this time around it has not, which I think is it very transparent.
Yeah, there's 2 asterisks on there, and if there's 2 asterisks, that means there's been a change from the previous year.
There's 2 asterisks, so I'm looking at this right now. I'm not seeing.
License number 64, Steam Noodle Cafe LLC has 2 asterisks. And it says new and old next to it.
Okay, I'm looking through, because I looked through it carefully. And I did not see any asterisks. I'm sorry, I just printed it out just before the meeting and I'm not seeing it. And I'm still
So
not.
there are some with 2 asterisks or some with 1, which
And
means
is
they've
it
not.
stated that that's indicative of a change?
2 asterisks are indicative of a change. 1 just means we don't have the paperwork yet.
Okay, but is that stated on the paperwork that that's what that means?
Yes, it does. Right at the top, it says that. It
Okay.
says 1 asterisk, it says those who have not returned their renewal paperwork. 2, those who have changes from the previous year.
All right, just so you know, for a clerical point of view, on the town website, this document was separate from the agenda. So before the meeting, I went and clicked on it and I printed it out and there's none of that on this document. And I'm happy to scan it and send it to you.
I believe it.
It probably was part of the packet, if it was in the packet. But if you look at the town website under the select board agendas, there's a separate document of license renewals. And that's what I,
And that's because under the open meeting law, I know why it was done that way. It's confusing. Under the open meeting law, all this has to be part of the agenda. But the details don't have to be part, just the names. So they probably skipped that part of it and then put it in the packet. But that's
Okay.
confusing.
all right, so I went right to the source and I know my way around the open meeting law and everything.
I know you
and,
do.
So I just figured, okay, this is a clean copy. So that's
Yeah.
something that probably should be looked at. And also the approval of licenses and everything, there's been issues with Hormel's and the truck traffic and everything. And I don't know if there's ever been any discussion on that. And I just see that it was just put through with no discussion. So I just wanted to point that out as well. Because
Okay.
there have been complaints regarding that business. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
So I need to go back and make one slight change because I combined class 2 with class 3, so I will just,
Remove the
and
3.
yeah, I'll remove the last 3, Decker's Auto Body, Hormel, and John's Auto Body.
So we have a motion and a second on class 2, all in favor.
Aye.
Okay, now class 3.
Okay, class 3, subject to return of paperwork and payment, Decker's Auto Body, Hormel, and John's Auto Body.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Restaurant all alcoholic. Subject to payment, return of payment and paperwork. Asian Breeze, Agaves, Aroma, Baba Louie's, Bizen, Bogies Restaurant, Cafe Adam, Cove Bowling, Chrissy Farm, Elm Railroad Street, Little Heads Grill, Fiesta Bar and Grill, Four Brothers Pizza, GB Eats, IE Inc. on 380 State Road, IE Inc. on 380A State Road, Koi Chinese Restaurant, Manhattan Pizza Company, Marketplace Kitchen Table, Miller's Pub, Moon Cloud, number 10, Prairie Well, Luber's Cafe, the East Asian Restaurant, Thornwood Inn, Triplex Cinema, Two Flower Cafe, The Well, Chico's Mexican Restaurant.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Restaurant, wine and malt, subject to return of paperwork and payment. Barrington Brewery and Restaurant, the Zillions, Mahawi, Najee's Pizza House, and Siam Fine Thai Cuisine.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Inn holders all alcoholic, the Barrington, subject to return of payment and paperwork.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Retail package, all alcoholic, subject to return of payment and payment. A and B package and variety, Big Y World Class Market number 22, Domaines Liquor, Gorham Norton, Guido's Fresh Marketplace, Plaza Package and Schwados.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Retail package wine and malt, subject to return of payment and paperwork. Berkshire Food Co-op, Daypar Wines, Marketplace Specialty Food Shop, and Rubener's Cheese.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Typo on Rubener's cheese.
Tea. Unless he changed it.
Only one typo, we're doing okay. Okay, thank you very much for that second part of the meeting. It is amazing how many businesses are in town.
Yeah.
Public hearing. Hillcrest Education Centers to amend the existing license for keeping storage of crude petroleum or any of its products or explosive or inflammable fluids or compounds in accordance with chapter 148, section 9 and 13 of the Massachusetts General Laws at 5 Ramsdale Road, Great Barrington, Mass. Do you have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Who do we have here?
Are public hearings roll call? It's been so long.
Yes, they are. I believe it.
Okay.
Garfield?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Aye.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. You serve a useful purpose. I knew that.
So Chief Berger would normally be here to speak, and I sent him a text a few minutes ago. I'm guessing he wasn't anticipating this topic coming up before our normal start time. So I'll do my best to cover it.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, maybe we can just push this aside and have him join us later. But summary here is that the campus, and by campus, I'm referring to Hillcrest as campus on Ramsdale Road, Great Barrington, Wisconsin. They have pre-existing LP storage tanks throughout the campus for each of their buildings. And during a recent inspection at that location, it was noted by one of the inspectors that the total quantity of fuel being stored on the property exceeded the permitted limit by this board. So they're here tonight with this application, asking the board to just increase that limit to what's presented in the packet. To bring that into compliance with state law. And that's all this is. It's not a major change to the amount that they're storing. It just exceeded their prior approval.
And people will respond to this. So,
Correct.
do you have any comments or questions?
Was this an addition that was added on later, or was this just kind of they miscalculated it in the beginning? Or?
I'm guessing that at least one of the tanks on campus was increased at some point, and they're just trying to get caught up now and in compliance. So I don't know the answer to that, or what specifically or which building it was, but.
Anyone else? Any public comment? Motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call vote. Garfield? Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I do have a motion.
I make a motion to amend the existing license for keeping storage of crude petroleum in accordance with chapter 148, section 9 and 13 of the MGL laws at 5 Ramsdale Road, Great Barrington, Hillcrest Education Center.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Aye.
Lee? And it's unanimous. Previous business, we're going to hopefully vote tonight on the Housatonic School RFP. I said that we would give each applicant 2 minutes just to clarify. We had a couple questions last time. And then we'll have a discussion, and then we will hopefully vote on this if we're ready to. So if Dave, if you want to come up.
My name is Dave.
Just come to the podium. We're having complaints people can't hear, so.
Okay.
My name is Dave Carver from CT Management Group. We are proposing to renovate the Housatonic School. We did not come this evening with any prepared remarks, but we are here to answer any questions that any of the board members may have.
Thank you. And then is there someone here from the red? There you go. Which one? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So we all here.
So,
Okay, you can go ahead and speak. No, hold on. Okay, no, hold on, because if we turn on the audience, won't be able to hear.
Hi,
Yeah, go right ahead.
hi, how are you? I'm here on behalf of Arete Ventures Group.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Jeff Glickman, JEFFGLICKMAN.
And if you have anything you want to add to.
Yes, we have a series of documents that we submitted to as addendums to our application to address a lot of the issues that were brought up, and I can go over them for you very quickly,
Yes.
if it's so desired.
Yes, please.
Oh, I should start right now?
Yeah, go right ahead. Just, briefly.
Oh, okay.
We already have it, but just for the people in the audience to.
Sure, no problem. As per the meetings and as per excuse me, our discussions, we made a few salient changes to the application, which we felt would both meet with what we were trying to do and meet with the objectives of the township. So the first thing is that there was a concern about the water filtration system, which we put in as budget permitting. We did a full investigation into it. We quoted out the system as required, and we can confirm that it is no longer budget permitting. It's part of the project. So there will be a full high-level reverse osmosis system to filter out any unwantables in the potable domestic water for the whole building. So that's number one. Number two, there was a gentleman who came forth from one of the constituents, one of the town, citizens, who came forth and a couple times and said he was concerned about the parking, and I thought it was a very intelligent note that he brought forth. So what we've done is we redesigned the parking to add for a total of 21 spots instead of what we previously had, which we believe meets with the parking demands, and that's not inclusive of anything on the street side, which we would probably want to talk to the town about, adding some street parking along the street in front. Next note, for the commercial space, there was a concern about the potential need for that large of a space. So while this was always part of our thinking, we wanted to formalize it, and we sent you in a diagram for the fact that now the basement space, or the ground floor space, I should say, will accommodate either one large master lease, or it could be broken up into 1, 2, or 3 smaller leases. We sent you an example, and this is just a rough example of 3 spaces. So what that would ultimately do is mean that instead of having to lease out 5,500 square feet, that each tenant could lease out 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, which makes it a lot more palatable for potential tenants. Okay, so we've made the ground floor space much more flexible. Formally, again, it was always in our mind to do that if necessary, but we just wanted to make sure the town was aware of it because there was some questions about that. Next, there was a concern that we didn't have the actual commercial tenants in hand. What we've done is, through a fair amount of canvassing through our 2 representatives, Suzanne Ward and Claire Schoenfee, who work for Housatonic Real Estate down the street from the building. They've done significant boots to the ground reconnaissance to try and look at possible options for tenants and tenancy, and we've got 2 letters of interest from bona fide current Berkshire area entrepreneurs. One is for a laundromat, which I understand is actually highly desired in the area, and the other is for a gym. Both of them are experienced operators. They're not newbies, and they have very significant sort of formal applications to us or in discussions with us to say we'd really like a spot in this. The last possible spot that we're looking for is to sort of combine coffee into the laundry, which is a longer discussion, but ultimately we want some kind of food service down there, and we're confident we can get that. But we have 2 formal LOIs, letters of interest, from those potential tenants to the project, expressing genuine interest in the project, with proper rents being considered. Next, there was another point raised at the last meeting, which was a tenant inducement for any potential commercial tenant. And we are formally stating now that we will put in $30,000 towards a tenant inducement that is subject to fit outs. They'll go towards a tenant fit outs, but they're subject to analysis of their covenant, what they're planning on doing, their use case, what budget they're using to fit out themselves, et cetera, and a formal system of doing it. How that money would be accounted for, and what phases, what milestones we would use. But ultimately, we're taking $30,000 from the contingency, which we're fine to do at this juncture, and with having reviewed the budget, and putting it into tenant inducement. There's a $30,000 tenant inducement now allotted for that. So that should also help with potential desires for additional tenants, or the tenants that we have that would like to be in there at present. The last point was there was a concern about the historical tax credit, which we said we were foregoing solely on the basis that we wanted to make the project happen faster. And so what we've heard that this is an extreme concern to the town. So we have spoken with a high-level historical tax credit consultant. There's a letter in there, a formal letter in there from them regarding the project. They've reviewed the project. They sent it to an additional architect beyond our project architect, who gave notes on it. And we will apply at the town's wishes, and at the pleasure of the town. We will apply for the historical tax credit. If we are successful in acquiring it for the project, we will reduce the ask from the town from 2.7 million to 2.1. So that is what we're committing to, is that if we acquire the historical tax credit, we will reduce the ask from 2.7 to 2.1 million. And on top of that, we are formally requesting that the schedule that we turned in for our project be noted, that with this addition of applying for the historical tax credit, that the timeline will be slowed for somewhere between 3 to 6 months to be determined.
Thank you, Dan.
That's everything.
Thank you. Board members, questions, discussion?
Yeah, I just, I did see the packet that was sent to us today, but I didn't see the parking amendments that Glickman was just talking about. Can we have that printed out, or?
It's more of a hand-drawn diagram. I believe it's there.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Doctor.
Okay, I know nothing of reverse osmosis, I'll be honest with you. Will that take care of the manganese problem that seems to be?
As far as we understand.
And the filtration will come as part of the package, not to be an extra expense to the tenants.
No. It's simply a system that will be installed in the mechanical room of the building, and it will be running all the time. You can't bypass it. And it will as it requires to be serviced or maintained, we will do that, the same as we would do with heating hot water. So
Go ahead.
Yeah, so with the new parking plan, does this encroach past the actual property lines for the parking on Hillside?
not as far as I'm aware.
As far as you're aware? And
This
then does
was
end up
redrawn.
changing-
Pardon me, sorry.
Does this end up changing the situation with the portable tents and that whole?
No, it does not. No, it does not. What it will mean ultimately, when we have the pop-up tent engagement, we will have to make an arrangement with whoever has those spots, that on those nights, they will not be able to use those spots. So ultimately what we'll probably do is allocate the commercial spots to the spots where the tent will be, and the parking timelines there will be from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or whatever it is. And then on the nights where we want to have those events, we'll clear out those spots. So there'll be a certain amount of working together to have it come together that way, but we'll work that out further down the road.
And then I see you have just one spot located for handicap accessibility, which leads me, I was curious about handicap accessibility for the apartments and anything. I don't remember.
Yes, so we discussed that earlier. We turned in a document, and Anthony Barnaba, our architect, addressed that the commercial spaces will have accessibility, and the residential apartments, we will not be adding an elevator, so they will not have accessibility.
Other question?
Couple. We be looking for a TIF for tax financing.
That is in part of our application as well, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And do you anticipate increased costs because of the historic tax credits?
Yes, but the differential that we previously mentioned we would take off incorporates for that. So
Thank you.
it's at this point it's a bit of a rough number, but the reduction in ask from the township took into account what we feel is roughly safe in asking for after the acquisition of the tax credit.
Dave, do you want to just go over your ask financially of the town, just so we're all clear?
The ask was basically followed the RFP. I believe in the RFP, the town was offering $650,000 towards the renovation costs. And and plus a TIF, a standard TIF that the town would agree to. And the only other thing we've ever added along the way during the last request for final information, I indicated that yes, there has been a little bit of inflation since we submitted our budget back in March. Everybody's been facing 6, 7, 8%. The only thing we may want to do, I'm not sure that this would upset our offer in any particular way, but it'd be very, very helpful because we do have a tight budget, would be to perhaps ask for a CPA loan that we would apply immediately to the roof to help secure and stabilize the building. That's the only other ask we would make outside of this board, but it would be for the CPA.
So you're not looking for environmental remediation money beyond the
Beyond the
650?
650, no, 650 and a TIF and perhaps a CPA loan of 250 that we would use to immediately stabilize the roof.
The CPA was, I'm sorry, 250?
Yeah.
250 is what we put in the budget to account for what we feel is the inflation that's occurred since we put the budget together in March till today.
Okay, Steve, I got one more question for Mr. Glickman. The TIF is, so when you say you will seek a tax agreement with us, is that included in the 2.1? Or that would be on top of that, I guess.
I want to make sure we're talking about we're talking about property tax on an annual basis or a form of reduction of that, correct? Yeah, no, that was over and above.
That's over the, okay.
So I just had I have a few things, but one question for Jeff Glickman, please. Could you go over what the ask is now that you've made some amendments?
Yeah, as I said, it's 2.1.
It's 2.1. Okay. So a few things. I appreciate all the kind of the boots on the ground that your team has done. Letter of intents are wonderful, but they really, at the end of the day, they don't carry a lot of weight unless there's a contract and there's some backing and there's proof that there's a bank behind it. So I am hesitant really to take this and put any weight behind it. I appreciate that you're listening to residents' concerns for a desire for a laundromat and some a gym membership. But I really feel that at this late stage, it's not fair for us to really take this with a lot of weight because it came at the last moment. And I just wonder why this wasn't part of the original package. So, you know, it is my thought that without really having any contracts in place, I can't really put a lot of weight in this. And I just feel that at this late stage, it's hard to take, you know, this really seriously. Although I do appreciate you listening to the concerns of the residents, because, you know, obviously there is some need for laundromats and recreational facilities. My other question about the commercial space.
Sorry, would you like me to respond to that? Because was that a question or, okay, so.
No, I'm just, yeah, I'm.
Yeah, no,
getting to
because the original application said nothing about having commercial tenants signed up. It was never brought up that there was a requirement to have a firm and committed commercial tenant for what we were doing. We proposed having a commercial ground floor. We thought that would be the best use for the space. The concern was raised to us at the last meeting, which was about 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, that we did not have a confirmed commercial tenant. We offered, well, we think there's a demand and we think that this is going to be met. And it was met with, well, I'm sorry, but you know, we really need to see some evidence. So within the 3-week time, we went out and we spoke to potential tenants and we got those LOIs. There is no possible way for us, without having a space, without having actual construction done or having control of the building, to actually acquire a full commercial tenant lease for that space. It would be totally impossible. I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate your concern that those letters of interest don't represent enough energy or enough confirmation. But with the time that we've had to address this issue, never mind the fact that we think what this supplies is significant evidence that there is demand for those spaces. That's why we supplied the letters of interest, because we think that is a proof that there is enough demand and that we can fill those spaces with the demand that there is, and we won't have that much trouble doing it. That's why we
Okay.
supplied the LOIs.
So with the laundromat, have you done tests to see that there's enough water pressure, for instance, and that when people do their laundry, it's not going to be brown?
Well, assuming the water's filtered and assuming that the building is up to spec and we have the right amount of water intake, which would be part of the construction process, then I don't understand why people would have brown laundry.
I guess my question is it's twofold. With the water pressure that's in Housatonic and the fact that a laundromat needs a certain amount of water pressure, I guess that, I don't know if that's the right terminology. Have you gone to that step to actually confirm that that location can handle a laundromat?
It is our understanding at present that the supply of water with the 2-inch line that is there is enough to supply for both the units and for both the commercial space and for a laundromat if desired. That's our understanding. If it's not the case, we would have to make adjustments to the building or to the water supply, but those can be done.
So you have spoken to the water department, or what when you say your understanding?
We asked this question of our architect, and our architect has been able to pull up some information on the water supply to the building. And that's what, again, that's at this stage, having done the amount of deep dive that we have, which is not so deep, that this would be possible.
You know, so that and the you know, the $2.1 million ask from the town, which would need to go to town meeting. You know, I have reservations, although, you know, I really appreciate the quality of your proposal, but I do have reservations.
Thank you. I appreciate the notes and the feedback very much.
Anyone else? Anyone from the public want to make a brief comment? Seeing no one, anyone else from the board? Eric.
I think somebody just raised their hand.
Okay, go ahead. Cecilia, state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Cecilia Turner. I'm at 208 Pleasant Street in Housatonic. I just want to say I really appreciate these guys coming back and having worked so hard to update their proposal. I also really appreciate Lee's pushback and consideration about all of this. I think that $2 million is a really big ask, but I'm really excited at the prospect of like communication with this private company in a way that I didn't expect from them in the first place.
Thank
I
you
just
very
wanted
much.
to say that.
Thank you, appreciate that. Wait. Go ahead. Pat Hollenbeck, go right ahead. Just unmute yourself, Pat.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Pat Hollenbeck, 1075 Main, Housatonic. I think in regards to this proposal here, we need to be really flexible. We're coming out of COVID. Inflation has been rampant. For any prospective developer, this is treacherous times. So I think we need to kind of keep that in mind. And as far as the 2 million or 2 million or whatever it is, it's an investment in Housatonic, in our future. And the thing is, this meeting tonight is at a time where it's a very distracting week, maybe the most distracting week out of the year. And 10 years from now, nobody's going to ask how long it took to make this decision. They're either going to like the decision or not. So if there's any issue of uncertainty, I would recommend just tabling this for just a few more weeks to get all the questions answered. Thanks. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Patrick. Thank you. What's the board's pleasure tonight, Eric?
Yeah, I guess I just want to state that, you know, with the two plans, they're both very appealing to me. I do think that the investment in Housatonic and bringing the ERET plan into action there is after spending, you know, over a year with the Housatonic Improvement Committee. You know, the main thing there was mixed use, and people came in, not just other citizens came in and discussed how it should be mixed use, you know, community oriented and the whole nine. So I'm leading strongly towards the Arnett project to follow up through all the work that we did in the HIC. And I do also envision it as a long-term investment into our neighborhood, into our town. And I think that's the way we need to look at it. It's not the shortness of, you know, maybe a tough budget season, but the long-term benefits that this will bring. I mean, whether it's just a, you know, a possibility of a gym there, but I mean, what a great space that would be. And, you know, no one needs to, everybody knows the need of a laundromat if it is, whether it happens or not. I understand the question there of, you know, it's just a piece of paper that quickly came about, but I see that those, you know, it being able to be divided up into three is I think it would be an amazing thing for this to come down. So
Yeah, you know, I've been through this more times than people want to know. And going to town meeting asking for $1.4 million for me is not something I'm willing to do, to endorse, because yes, it will help the town, but I still think both projects will help the town equally. And you know, our last RFP, there were unsuccessful attempts to find commercial tenants. Now, this group may be different, but you know, I've been burned once, so I'd rather do something that is more study, that I have more confidence in. But that's just me. Lee, go ahead.
Go ahead now.
Oh, sure, okay. So one concern I have, or obviously a few concerns, but one I'd like to point out is, you know, if we go with a RET and it goes to town meeting and town meeting votes no, then we're risking having no one. You know, we don't know if, you know, Dave Carver's team is going to be willing to come back. And then we're starting from, you know, square one. You know, then we have no housing, we have no RFPs, we're going to start from scratch. So, you know, we're really putting ourselves at risk going for such a big ask and you know, leaving it to town meeting for, you know, $2.1 million. So I would stress that, you know, we are putting ourselves at risk of losing both teams. And, you know, this is a worry for me as well as obviously finding a commercial tenant at the end of the day. But this is one concern I have.
Garfield, go ahead.
I wanted to know myself, I haven't heard from WDM with their water concern. They have not discussed the drinking water. What is your plan?
Our plan has always been to put in a standard filtration system. Systems are out there, they're off the shelf, they're not that complicated, and it's in our budget.
And realize both, we're very fortunate. Both of these applicants are very good applicants, which is not what we've always seen in the past. And both of these will do a tremendous job for the village of Housatonic. So I'm not seeing that one of them is so much better than the other. And I realize about the commercial space that that's been an ask, but I still am more comfortable. And is from my point of view, and this has been maybe 13 years, there was the task force that used to meet at the fire station. And I always fought people who said we should just rip it down and put just increase the park. To me, this is our last chance. The building's deteriorating. We're running out of, if this doesn't work out, we're running out of people who are going to be interested. And I think I will support, if this doesn't work out, taking the building down. And we've heard from a few citizens of Housatonic who are in favor of that, putting up as a gazebo. And I've always said, no, I'm not in favor of that. But as the building starts to deteriorate, I'm not sure we have a choice. So.
Yeah, I don't know if we have to go through
I'm gonna have Chris.
the criteria. Yeah, I assume that's a Chris question. I did it kind of in my head. And I think the already, how do you pronounce it?
Correct.
It does have something there that we had asked for. On the other hand, so that's sort of weighs in on their favor. On the other hand, it's an awful lot of money, which I think I agree with the two of you. It weighs a little heavier on the other. If we borrowed against it for, I don't know how long we borrow for it, whatever interest rate we get, I'm not sure how much that is on an annual basis, which makes it look a little less painless, but $1 million is still $1 million. So I think I'm leaning the same way as you guys.
Chris, are you there?
Yes. Oh, sorry, my video is not on.
Do we need to go through each of the criterias, or can we just have a motion?
It's up to you. We reviewed the criteria. Hi, Chris Rimblesby. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And I want to echo everything the board members have said and thank both Jeff and David for clarifying things. Just from my perspective, sitting remotely, I want to note that while I see Jeff very well, I don't see David as well on the panoramic view of the video, but just folks who are watching tonight, both teams are represented. It's a little hard to see WDM there in person, but they're there, and it's nice to see both teams interested, patient, and responsive. So thanks to both parties. So the board last time went through the comparative criteria of the RFP. There's the financial capacity, operational capacity, site and building design, purchase price and rent, and finally, financial benefits or otherwise. And it's your job to review each of those and come up with an overall rating. There's no science to this. There's no score sheet. You can sort of do one on the back of an envelope if that helps you arrive at a conclusion. You have the ultimate discretion here, and these are the areas where you should discuss, debate, and try to come to some agreement, some overall consensus.
So what's the board's wish? We want to make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with making a motion if that's the board's wish.
Yeah, I think that through our discussion, we've gone through the criteria.
Okay. Should I make a motion to what I'm hoping or, okay.
Not that you're not.
Yes, you can.
We'll go on either path or one.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion to award the Housatonic School Development to WDM.
Well, second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I guess just and again, I'm a fan of both. I'm gonna say I'm a fan of both, but it's just overall, I guess I just wish we would shoot for the stars a little more. And I mean, I understand the worry about going to town meeting, but at town meeting, we had, what was it? $50,000 that wasn't asked for, just given to the parks because everybody, we had a $500,000 put into a ballpark that I have an office in front of that no one's playing ball in ever, you know, and so I guess I'm not as hesitant to go to town for something that is you know, a big investment in our future. But with that being said,
And
I would be
Eric,
excited
I respect your opinion. I think either one, we're shooting for the stars.
Yeah.
I've seen the work that WDM does. We've all seen it, and I think it's gonna be beautiful. And I think it's gonna serve our village of Housatonic very well. And so I understand your point. I'm not afraid of going to town meeting. I just think we have other things to spend $1.4 million on. So that's just my opinion. We have a motion and a second. Anyone else? Roll call vote, Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
I'm gonna vote no. Thank you.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. So it's 4-1 at WDM. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Won't be silent.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is vote to approve, being presumptive, financing agreement for a wastewater pump station. Who's here?
Which is no one on the charity reflector, it's online and being promoted right now.
Thanks. Sorry. There she is. Alicia,
Hi,
the
sorry.
little explanation, please.
Yes, sure. So this project, the borrowing for this project was approved at the 2014 annual town meeting, and they are getting ready to start the pump station upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant. So we are going to we've been approved for the loan through the Mass Clean Water Trust, which is a state agency, and their interest rate will be 2%. I do apologize because I was not at work today, so I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but I know that you guys have my executive summary. I think it's about $4 million.
It's $4,508,962.
Yes.
From your executive summary.
So I don't, and then on top of that, we just received a letter on Friday from the Mass Clean Water Trust and the state treasurer saying that our loan for this project is eligible for loan forgiveness, and they are going to forgive from that $432,432.
$32, you said.
Yep, $432,432.
Any questions of Alicia?
No.
Do you have a motion? Actually, no. Okay, do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the general obligation interim loan note with Massachusetts Clean Water Trust for wastewater treatment plant upgrades.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
We're going to postpone, not really table, the host community agreement renewal with Theory Wellness. We're not quite there yet. And next is the State Economic Development Fund for shuttle service, $150,000. It's the last thing on our agenda. See how we do with this one.
Sure, so we're just looking for, staff is looking for some guidance from the board. This was part of an economic development bill that was filed by Senator Hines on Pardon Act, seeking $150,000 for a shuttle service from Great Barrington to LaSalle. So we're looking for some guidance from you. The funds have hit Mass DOT at this point, so we need to file an application to secure those funds and have them transferred to the town.
Yeah.
So the way I've looked at this is, this came down from Senator Hines' office with the same monies that were sent to help alleviate the problems we're having in Housatonic with the water. So I guess it kind of shows where Senator Hines' priorities are and how he makes it known with the way he's put the money figure next to each one, which I find kind of upsetting. I feel it confirms what we've been saying in Housatonic for a while, that no one at state level is really listening to our issues. I know there's been a ton of letters and everything else, so it just makes me extremely frustrated how this is coming out. So, you know, this 150 should go in with the same pile of money that, you know, bit of money that we got for the water, to help alleviate the pain for the water in Housatonic. So I would like to ask maybe our new governor, since our old governor didn't have the time to even respond to the letters that the select board sent, that the Board of Health sent, anybody else, that maybe we can make an appeal to our new governor when it's in place to help transfer this money, so it can go towards alleviating the pain we're having in Housatonic and the water crisis that we have there. If that's an option, I would love to consider that.
So I absolutely appreciate what you said, Eric. You know, I see this as not an either or. I think that we should definitely keep the pressure on the state and remind them that this is still a problem. You know, I think that we could probably do better than 150. And what I would suggest is, you know, use 150 for what it was designated for, earmarked for. Go forward with whatever the board decides, whether that's for a feasibility study or whatnot, and put the pressure on, you know, our state legislators and say, hey, this is still a problem. We need something. We don't need the Band-Aid. So, you know, I would hesitate taking, you know, one pot of money to fill another pot of money, because I think Housatonic Waterworks problem is much bigger than the $100,000 that we got, or the 150,000. So I would suggest not to take the money from this initiative. I think that it is an important initiative. We don't know how it's going to shake out, but, you know, from all the feedback I've gotten since it came out, you know, there is interest in the shuttle to see what happens. You know, it serves a lot of different purposes. I think it could really help residents. There's residents that need it for medical appointments, you know, just to see family. And this is much different than, let's say, the Berkshire Flyer that's catering to tourists. This is something that's from a perspective of helping residents. So what I would suggest is absolutely keep the pressure on, you know, reach out to Maura Healy, reach out to Paul Mark and say, hey, this is a problem. This is, you know, we need you to hear us. But I would suggest not taking, you know, one earmark to fill the pot. I would say, you know, let's, you know, say thank you for the earmark. Thanks for listening, you know, thinking about Great Barrington. But this is a big problem. We don't want a Band-Aid. We want real action. So I would urge the board to move forward with a decision on this particular earmark and put the pressure on. So I would actually say do both.
I think Eric took the words out of my mouth. And this bus isn't even a priority for us. We've got a long list of priorities. If it should be a priority, let's bring that up at our next meeting. And 100,000 here and 150,000 there starts to add up to real money. So if Eric doesn't make a motion, I would to ask the governor if we can move this.
I guess the way in just, you know, no respect, the shuttle back and forth, that's what I worry about is after this 150, how much is it going to cost? And I just kind of see that as like a private business that somebody should be doing, you know, it shouldn't be the town. I just don't see that being a town budget item. And any way you look at it, whether it's to Passaic or to Hudson, or it shouldn't be on us to shuttle people back and forth. So I would like to make a motion that we request our new governor to redirect this funding to the Housatonic water crisis.
I'll second that.
Can we have some discussion?
Yeah, no, we're gonna have discussion.
So what I would say is, I don't see this as a Great Barrington initiative. I see this as a regional issue. And, yes, Great Barrington is the host in terms of, what we do with this pot of money, but, seeing that there is state support, I mean, the fact that Senator Hines thought that this was worthwhile to explore shows me that there could be state subsidies. Other towns have reached out, said this is a great idea, ask us if we can help you. Mount Washington's reached out to me, Sheffield's reached out to me, Simon's Rock. So I don't see Great Barrington as carrying the weight of moving this forward. I see Great Barrington as being the initiator of this wonderful study to see, is there interest, number one, how do we fund it? Who's it going to help? And then let's all pull together and figure out, is this something that's logical and affordable and reliable and realistic? But to kind of put this inside and say, okay, thanks for the money, but we don't want it. I feel it sends communication out that, we're not thankful for that support. So as I said, I absolutely agree that we need to keep our pressure up to the state legislators, but I also feel that economic development and helping residents, get to New York City that do need to go, that can't get themselves, I think that should be a priority. I don't feel like it has to be either or. I think that we can accept the money and do what it's earmarked for and keep the pressure. I don't really think that, taking it and saying, hey, we're not thankful, you should be using it for this. I don't think that's really helpful. And I worry about that relationship that we've had with our state legislators to turn something like this down. But I absolutely agree that Housatonic Waterworks needs to be a #1 priority, but I don't think that this should be either or.
I have something to say.
Go ahead, Ralph.
I agree that I personally think the money should be probably used elsewhere. I don't see myself personally, this is my opinion, being a shuttle that's gonna help most of the people in Great Barrington. Not at all. Not at all. We have a housing problem, this and that and the other thing. A lot of these people that are on the workforce housing and having the affordable housing problem, et cetera. And the people that we have here aren't going to be going to New York City using the shuttle. I think that's not anywhere I want to put my monies at all. I'd rather see it deferred or keeping the pressure on, of course, the state. But the shuttle doesn't float my boat.
So it's unfortunate to me, the way this was presented to us. It really is unfortunate. To put $100,000 for Housatonic water customers and $150,000 for the transportation shuttle service in the same bill is really unfortunate. Because if I had my druthers and anyone had asked me, and no one asked any of us, I think both could be funded, but I would have loved to see $250,000 for Housatonic water. And Lee pointed this out. We don't know what the shuttle service will do. We need to do a study. And my guess is we can do a study for $50,000 or $75,000, and we could have accomplished both. We could have really helped Housatonic water, and we could have still done this. I think it's a worthwhile venture, but it's not nearly at the top of, it's not on our list. And it's a lot of money, $150,000. And when you put it and say $150 for a shuttle and $100 for Housatonic, the optics of that are just horrible. I don't know who thought of that. It's just not good optics.
Yeah.
The idea of the shuttle is a great idea. If in fact it's paid for by the state and we do a study to see, okay, how do we run a shuttle and who's paying for it after the money runs out? Because that's important. We're not experts in everything. And I can't picture us running a shuttle service, but I do think it's an excellent idea. It's a really good idea. But just the idea of putting it in the same bill with $100 for Housatonic, $150 for the shuttle really is somewhat problematic, to say the least. Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, I see Karen Smith's hand is up, and I was gonna say that, Mark and Karen put together a senior transportation system in 3 weeks, as I recall.
Don't forget Paul.
Yeah, and Polly. So I'm interested to hear what Karen has to say.
Karen, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Name and address, please.
My name is Karen Whetstone Smith. I live at 5 Monument Valley Road in Great Barrington. I believe very strongly, I don't like mixing apples and oranges, and I understand Eric and Garfield's point about the Housatonic Water Company. I really do. But what makes me very distressed is how, Mark didn't put together the transportation. Polly Mann did. Polly Mann and Karen Smith put that thing together. I think before I worry about anybody getting shuttled to New York for whatever reason, there is a whole movement afoot in order to get people able to be transported within the town. And whether we're a hub or not, I don't think it's up to us, because I'm going to tell you something, that sort of system, I know what it costs us and how we operate the senior transport. We have 4 vehicles, 2 of which are given by BRTA, 1 of which we worked to swap out with Stockbridge, and 1 of which we just got from a private donor, a new 22 Edge. We use those quite frequently. The idea of spending any money, a feasibility study on a transport to Wassaic, to me is ridiculous. And I agree that Housatonic Water is an overriding. You can't worry about somebody getting to New York City if people don't have clean water. I mean, seriously. So from a transportation perspective, and what my understanding is over the last 2.5 years, being intimately involved with the senior transport and doing all of that, I think it would be a huge error by the select board to agree to fund a feasibility study, but the bottom line is the people who are going to end up paying for it are the taxpayers of Great Barrington, hub or not. And the cost of running that sort of program is a lot more than that. And I think right now, I like the idea of asking the governor to take the money and put it towards Housatonic Water. I think that that's a fair thing to do. I think that's a prudent thing to do. But I would like to know that the select board, whether Adam Hines said it or not, there are a lot of times money is given for projects that nobody's really thought the long term out from the state. And I think it's really important now that the select board do the right thing and ask that this money be reallocated to the Housatonic Water Company. Thank you.
I'm pretty selfish. I wish we could do both. I wish we could get 250. Yeah, just come up to the microphone. I wish we could get 250 for Housatonic and still get money for this shuttle service. I'm a little selfish with the town money. Go right ahead. Name and address.
Diane Mercer, Hart Street, Housatonic, and honestly don't know what I'm gonna say. So I started a taxi business. I haven't actually put it into practice yet. I just registered the car last week. I got the LLC the day before the newspaper article came out about this, and I was already planning on setting up some sort of shuttle, like once a week, just going down to the railroad station, bring a bunch of people, pick up people, just once a week. Honestly, my whole vision of the thing, I was thinking about starting a taxi service because I see the need for going beyond what the bus does. It stops at Barrington and it's done. My plan was to start the taxi service, grow money, to start a shuttle service that goes east, west, and south. Because that's what we really need. And for the people who need more affordable housing, because the neighboring towns are more affordable. Then what about people who don't drive? They can't get to work in Barrington and live in Monterey. So that's more what I'm thinking is a better route for any of it is rather than go to Wassaic, get something that can go to the neighboring towns.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
No.
Opposed? So it's 4-1. It passes. Citizen speak time. Yes, Eileen.
Hi, I don't know whether I'm media or citizen, but I have 3 questions. What was the motion that was just voted on? According to my notes, the motion was that it should go to the water. A move to redirect that Ed had seconded. Is that
Correct.
that was approved?
Well, the motion was to ask the governor for
Yeah,
permission.
we don't have the ability to read that.
Right. Okay. All right. It wasn't restated, so I got confused.
Sorry.
Second, are the added documents from the Housatonic School potential developers going to be on the website? They are not now that I.
Yeah, we will put them on the website. They arrived later today, late today. So yes, we will put them on the website.
Okay. Third question, what's happening with the Commission on Disability?
Is that so?
Uh,
Its chairman died and it hasn't met since, and I'm wondering.
we have the vacancy posted. I don't believe we've had anyone step up and express interest, but I can check on that.
Thank
So
you.
next meeting, we'll let you know. I know we've had trouble getting a quorum for that meeting. And getting anyone interested in that committee, so. That's been a problem. So we'll let you know, Eileen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben Elliott, 208 Pleasant Street, Barrington.
Yeah, but just hold the microphone here. I don't know if it works or not, but it makes you look really important.
So I just have a question about zoning in Housatonic Village, specifically going back to the 2013 master plan and how it might work with the school.
Chris, are you listening to this? Because it sounds like you're bailiwick. Thank you.
The master plan cites that the current village zoning was instituted in 1960 with little regard to the density pattern and mix of uses, and says that, regulations need to be re-examined and revised in order to achieve the land use goal. So I'm just curious, did we do that in the process leading up to that? Have we revised or re-examined the zoning for the village leading up to this development?
Chris, go right ahead.
Yes, we did. I don't remember the year, but the old B2 zone was eliminated in Housatonic Village and replaced with a what we call the Housatonic Village Center Zone. It was probably, I want to say it was 2016, 2017. It was, yeah.
Special designation, is that right? I'm just curious what that did to the zoning for the village.
It allowed for mixed use development and other forms of development, reduced parking requirements, smaller lot sizes and things like that. Things that the highway commercial type zoning that is the B2 did not allow at the time.
Thank you, Chris. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I knew you knew the answer.
Yeah, I kind of figured out your Chris question, sorry. So just moving forward with this project, I've said it before, and I have a feeling I'll probably keep saying it frequently over the course of this project, but and I know the town knows this, but we need improved pedestrian infrastructure around the school site. Looking back at WDM's proposal, they worked off of a plan from 2017 for a sidewalk system surrounding the community center that I don't believe there's been any further progress on. Is that true? I'm just going previously.
So the good news is that we have a meeting the 30th, which is goals and strategic planning, etc.
Okay.
And for sure, if we want to get this, that's something that's important to us, but sounds like it should be. We can put that on for DPW, so that will be a meeting where you can say it again.
Okay.
And we'll say, we'll listen to you and actually pay attention like we are now.
Okay, I appreciate that.
This is Chris. Those are conceptual plans back in the day that, we didn't advance because there was no developer for, the school was to be demolished. We weren't going to build sidewalks there. So now there seems to be a way forward. So we would work with the developer to implement improvements.
Great. I would say that even if the school does not end up going forward with the WDM project, I still think we need it.
You just approved the 10 minutes of which.
No, I know.
Give me an hour or so before you
Sorry, I didn't reach me. But I'm just saying, worst case scenario. leaving here to come tonight. Because parking, people are parked directly in front of the school, which will not be available with them, once it's redeveloped. It's dark, kids running in and out, there's no light, there's no path, people are going on the street, there's parking on the street, it just gets pretty hairy. So we need it. And you'll come back on the 30th and I'll do it all.
Yeah, after tonight's vote, it becomes a priority.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, appreciate it. That's always good seeing you. Anyone else? Seeing no other. This is the speak select board time, Garfield.
Nothing, thank you.
Eric,
Nothing, thank you.
Ed,
Nothing.
Lee.
Nothing.
And I have nothing. Media time. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.